think we've all been influenced by the technological boom that's happened in the last few years in sport.
Little 0.5% could mean the difference between winning a cup or a championship or not, or a relegation or not.
I love to do our line-out training, virtual reality and sort of cool moves and react to defences.
An area of technology might be able to give you a marginal gain that if you haven't started along that path, that you could lose out.
We already live in what was once considered the future. Technology is a massive part of business, club and fan behaviour, and it defines what clubs and players can do every single day. It's also changed the game in more subtle ways, with advancements around ball, kit and surface technology playing a major role in the development of the game. It's obvious that without the adoption of the right technologies, clubs may fall behind. And because advancements are moving so fast, how do we select the right trends to get ahead? We've travelled to Loughborough University to find out what the very best R&D teams have been working on, capturing their insights and findings to try to predict the future of rugby.
We look at carrying out research into sport and sports equipment. We look at educating people, undergraduate students, but also the wider world. And then we look at collectively doing something useful for the benefit of sports.
You mentioned about the technology in different materials becoming available. I can see behind us here we've got a lot of balls. There's something there which I'm not sure, it's on a kicking tee, but I'm not sure the machine looks exactly like a leg. But how would a new technology coming in be tested by the Institute here?
Actually, all of sports, like rugby, have a following, a loyal following, that have certain expectations. And so finding the balance of how you can move the sport forwards whilst maintaining the traditions and making sure that records of today match up with yesterday is quite a key part of what we would look to do in our testing. So if a brand or an individual comes forward with a new idea, perhaps a new ball, then one of the things we need to evaluate is how exactly it compares to previous products. And with the best will in the world, no human player can kick the ball the same, can throw the ball the same. So we have to build ourselves robots like the one behind me that will give the ball the same kick time and again, so that when we measure the outcomes, we can confidently say the difference between this new ball and the old ball is as follows.
You worked a lot ahead of the Rugby World Cup in 2015, looking at the pitches. Tell us a little bit about that work.
We devised a test looking at performance tests. So this is looking at what the player does on the surface, and agronomic tests. Put the two together and sort of made a rating of these pitches. Well, the greater longevity means they can be used more. So even if you have your first team, elite team, you could have other events on this place.
The bounce of the ball on the pitch is very determined by the conditions of the pitch. I mean, a lot of people, perhaps the traditionalists, will express a preference for natural turf. What's interesting there is that they probably realise, but don't acknowledge, that natural turf in the middle of winter compared to the summer can be very, very different.
We come at sport from an engineering aspect, and what we do is we apply a lot of technologies and knowledge from engineering and science to sport, mainly around the more physical things, so not necessarily digital technologies, but we apply it to sport, make the game better, make the game safer.
A real hot topic in rugby at the moment is player welfare. You've developed quite an interesting project. Do you want to explain a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so I'm essentially trying to represent a typical impact within the sport, and by using physical surrogates. So that's a surrogate neck is what I'm currently developing. Trying to give a typical response that the human would during that impact. And
aside from the sort of protective angle, we see technology in everyday life, like virtual reality and augmented reality. Do you ever see there being a place for that, particularly in terms of some of the training that the players can do?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think we're very good on the physical training nowadays, and the medical side of it's obviously very good. But the kind of decision making is incredibly difficult to coach and to learn at full speed in game situation. And I think that's potentially where VR could add a lot of value in helping those players, in a simulated environment, make those decisions which will make them a better player.
How has technology impacted sport in general, but in particular rugby?
So technology is playing a massive part in sport, and whether people realise that or see it for themselves, the hidden effects of technology are massive. So if we think about how our shoes have progressed. Our running shoes, our football boots, rugby boots, they have progressed massively, but that might be down to technological advances in the manufacturing processes and in the materials. If you think about sport in the future, in 10 years' time, I think it's almost impossible to imagine sport without technology. We are going to have wearables that are going to tell us lots and lots of things about ourselves, about our performance, about our health, about our well-being. So, we're really excited about the role that sport can play in embracing technology, perhaps in advance of society in general.